Hey, if you're watching this, that means we hit a massive milestone in selling your home. So first off, congratulations. This is huge. But now the real race to the finish line begins. And this guide is going to walk you through every single step. So let's jump right in. This is it. This is the phrase every home seller is waiting to hear. You've accepted an offer, and I bet you're feeling pretty excited right now. But hold on, because this isn't quite the end of the story. It's really the beginning of the final and most critical chapter. This is the official start of the whole due diligence and processing phase. So what does under contract actually mean? Well, think of it like being engaged before the wedding. You and the buyer have a formal agreement, you've both committed, but the property isn't technically sold just yet. Now comes a whole series of checks and balances that we have to get through before we can pop the champagne at the closing table. To make sense of it all, here's our roadmap. We're going to kick things off with what happens right away. Then we'll dive into the buyer's responsibilities, what they'll be up to. After that, we'll cover your key action items, look at the final days leading to closing, and, super important, we'll talk about how we navigate any potential bumps in the road. All right, Section 1, the contract is signed, that for sale sign gets a shiny new pending rider on top, and you know what? The clock officially starts ticking towards your closing date. This is where all the pieces of the puzzle start moving at once. Okay, so for the next few weeks, the spotlight really shifts over to the buyer and their lender. They have a specific window of time, we call it the due diligence period, to basically do all their homework and make 100% sure your property is everything they think it is. And you know, this whole due diligence thing really boils down to 3 major checkpoints that we have to clear. First, we've got the property inspection. Second is the lender's appraisal. And third, the final thumbs up on the buyer's loan. Let's break down exactly what each of those means. First up is the inspection. The buyer's going to hire pros to check out the house from top to bottom. Your main job here? It's actually super simple. Just make sure the home is accessible for them. Now, after they get their reports back, they might come to us with a list of requested repairs. Usually, they're focused on functional or safety issues, not little cosmetic things. And don't you worry, you're not in this alone. We'll be right there to advise you and handle all the back and forth. Next up, the appraisal. Since the buyer is getting a loan, their lender needs to make sure the house is actually worth the price they're paying. Quick pro tip. It's a great idea to have a list of any recent upgrades you've done ready for the appraiser. It can really help. Now, one of 2 things will happen. If the value comes in at or above our contract price, awesome, that's the green light we want. If it comes in low, that's a hurdle. But it is not a deal killer. We have several strategies to work through it. And finally, while all this other stuff is going on, the buyer's lender is working away in the background. They are triple checking every single financial detail, income, credit, you name it. Then, the whole file goes to an underwriter for the final official approval. We'll be in constant contact with them to make sure everything stays on track. Okay, so the buyer is definitely busy. But what about you? Let's switch gears and talk about your role in all this. You've got a few key tasks that are absolutely essential for keeping us on schedule for a nice, smooth closing. Your first big task involves the title company. Think of them as the transactions detective. They do a deep dive to make sure you have the clear legal right to sell the property. They'll be putting together all the legal docs. And listen, this part is critical. If they reach out asking for information, please respond as fast as you can. Seriously, any delays here could push back our closing date. While all that paperwork is chugging along, it's the perfect time to get a head start on the physical side of things, your move. Now's the time to start packing up non-essentials, get some quotes from moving companies, and get your utility transfers scheduled. The goal here is to have the home completely empty and clean for the buyer on closing day. Okay, with the buyer's due diligence wrapping up and your boxes starting to stack up, you can really start to feel the momentum. We are officially in the final lap. The finish line is right there in front of us. So let's talk about the final countdown, the last few critical days. About a day or 2 before closing, the buyer will do one last walkthrough, just to make sure the house is in the same great shape it was when they made the offer. You might even be able to sign your final paperwork a day early. And then comes the big day itself, closing day. And just like that, you've done it. On closing day, all the magic happens. The title company handles everything. They transfer the buyer's funds to you and they record the new deed. You sign the last few documents, you hand over the keys, and the house is officially sold. Your money is typically wired right to your account shortly after that. It's an amazing feeling. Now, in a perfect world, every single step we just talked about goes off without a hitch. But, this is real estate, and sometimes things can be a little unpredictable.
So let's talk about how we stay prepared for any challenges that might pop up.
This is the question that's probably been nagging at the back of your mind, right? What if the inspection finds a big problem? Or what if the appraisal is low? These are totally valid concerns, but the absolute key is not to panic, because we have a plan for exactly these situations.
And this is our playbook. For every common challenge, we have a clear solution. Whether we're dealing with tough inspection negotiations, an appraisal that doesn't quite hit the mark, or some last-minute delay with the loan, our job is to give you expert guidance, strategize on the best path forward, and just keep the communication flowing so we can get right back on track. Because at the end of the day, this is the goal: 100%, a successful closing. Every step we take, every document we look at, every single negotiation, it's all focused on one thing: getting you to that closing table so you can start your next big adventure.
So, take a deep breath. You did it. You navigated the whole process of being under contract, and you have officially crossed that finish line. You've closed the door on one chapter of your life, which leaves just one really exciting question left to answer. Where will your next one begin?